Hello everybody, I am Syr Talon of Marion, and I am here to teach a class on Florentine fighting, particularly for the battlefield. So let me grab my notes here so we can get things started off. So, why Florentine on the battlefield? Two swords are cooler than one sword. I just, like, unless you got one big sword, two swords are cool. So a lot of people gravitate to Florentine, but you don't see it as often anymore. The heroes from Florentine are just seen a lot less throughout Belagarth. And one of the biggest reasons is Florentine is very difficult to make work on a battlefield. You have super low defenses and really bad matchups to common battlefield weapons like spears, glaives, and most projectiles. And armor isn't going to cover everything. If you're shot by an arrow or hit by a javelin in the chest, well, that's it for you. So, yeah. It also requires a super strong foundation to have. All right. If you're used to having a shield just passively block everything for you, or using the reach of a reach weapon such as a spear or glaive to cover a lot of defensive options for you so people can't close on you, you're going to have a more difficult time. With Florentine, you have to actively block practically everything. A good stance by itself even needs a little bit of motion for people trying to swing around your guards and stuff like that. However, like I said, it's just awesome. It's just cool. We love it. We want to see more of it. So, Florentine for the battlefield. So, starting off with the basics of it, having a strong foundation for attacks and blocks. So, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that here. By strong foundations, I mean understanding your like 5 basic shots, right? So your chop, flat wrap, full wrap, reverse wrap, and your stabs, super important. And you also need to be able to do them with both hands. This is in combination with any form of active blocking you might need to be doing with the stick. So this isn't even taking into account fighting multiple people yet. So we definitely want to have that super strong foundation, and that's probably the most difficult thing to getting into two-stick in general, is being like, man, I'm just gonna have to rough it out on learning to block and things of that nature. So more on our basics. In my opinion, for a battlefield, most people use between a 34 and a 36-inch sword, and that's just most people's preferred weapon. That, unfortunately, is too short for Florentine. One of the biggest issues we have with Florentine is like safety and reach, right? So I'm gonna bring Vander up here. You just grab a board and a shield or whatever, right? You're just a sword. There we go. Awesome. So if I've got two 36s, 34s, 30 whatevers, and Vander's got similar reach, right? We can hit each other at any point in time, right? Come up here. Come on, join me. Yep, more people. Remember, it's a battlefield class. If I have to contend with now someone who has a spear with Vander, even if I've got extra teammates, Nor can attack me significantly. I can't reach Vander, I can't reach Nor. Even if I had extra teammates to kind of do things, Nor can just swap left and right, and every time she points her spear at me, I have to respect the threat, otherwise I just get stabbed for free, right? If I go with 40s, now let's pretend like Nor's not here for a singular moment. The reach of Vander means he can still kind of reach me, but having that much more extra reach helps. If Nor comes back and she's got a spear, now she can still attack me without me being able to attack her. But let's say I actually do close in. I could close in at a distance that where Vander maybe can't reach me, and maybe I can start reaching her. This is still a crappy scenario, but just having 4 extra inches of sword helped out so much. All right. A lot of people think when I close in, I got to close into here. And I'm like, you don't. All right. Why do I say 40s instead of like max blues? Well, Nor's not there. I've got a random 1v1. A max blue is so hard to throw these close range shots as I want to get closer to people. Whereas with 40s, I don't have to change my technique too much. It doesn't feel so drastically different that I need to change my entire fighting style to staying out here and sniping forever. When it's time to take backs, you want a smaller weapon so you can just make these short swings in here. If I absolutely have to, choking up on these kind of brings me back to the 36 category, and it doesn't feel horrible. So I can still fight Vander as if it matters, and then when I need the reach is still there, especially when it comes to things like clipping legs and stuff like that. So 40s, in my opinion, are like the way to go. If you want 42 or whatever you feel comfortable with, I don't suggest 47s or max blues, but you could do it. Also, I'll mention it, Florentine, while like I understand what you're going for here, flail is one of the best battlefield weapons in the sport. All right, you get to swing, they go over shields better, stuff like that. The issue it comes in is defensive prowess. Flails are just worse than swords at blocking. So, for example, a block and return with a sword comes in quite easily. A block and return with the flail, when you block, the ball kind of like goes whatever. God forbid Vander hits the top of the flail weapon and it throws it just more out of whack. Like, is it possible? Sure, if you're good enough, anything is, but it is just more difficult. So I don't suggest Florentine. I honestly don't even suggest one flail, one sword, because once again, I'm gonna tell you, if you're not blocking and striking with both of your weapons, you're not actually doing Florentine. You're doing bad sword and board. Like people who fight like this, what is this sword doing? It's blocking for me. You could block and swing with both swords. And if you're on a battlefield, not using the entirety of your faculties to do everything possible, you're just hampering yourself. Just grab a shield at that point. So 40s are very important in my opinion. We're going to talk about shields in general. So the biggest issue with using a shield for Florentine is, hand me that shield please, what actually feels like Florentine, right? If I've got this shield, a lot of people say, oh, this is Florentine, this is two stick and a shield. No, this is sword and board with a down stick. This is not really Florentine. Even this isn't really Florentine. I can't swing this sword. Once again, we'll bring Vander back. If I'm fighting people, all right, sure, I could be blocking people from this side, but like this isn't really an effective tool anymore. Here, we'll swap sides here. So yeah, so they can actually see. Yeah, this isn't really an effective tool for like throwing these. Like it's not good, right? So the bigger shield you have, the less Florentine you feel like you're doing. So I suggest one of two things. You can get a back shield. Back shields don't really help Florentine fighters as much because the dynamic motions that red fighters use to bring the back shield into play aren't necessary. I don't need to throw spin shots with Florentine. You can. All right, I'll teach you one at the end of this class just for the sake of it. But it's so unnecessary that it's like, what's the point or the goal with this? But having a shield is better than not having a shield. You can also have either like a small punch. So I've used a small punch to make my way in to block arrows so that I can get into the fray, or a shield strapped to my arm, like a very small shield strapped to my arm here, that doesn't get in the way of me swinging my swords, but like that extra passive guard isn't doing a whole lot. Putting a shield into Florentine, like the bigger your shield, the less Florentine you have, unless it's on your back, and then it's on your back and it's cool, super cool for fighting here, and he throws only wrap shots. Great for fighting flails, funny enough. All right, most flail users hit you in the back because they're not swinging for the front per se, and the ball is just wrapping around. So it hits your back shield, and you think it's really, really cool. But having a shield in your Florentine fighting makes you feel less Florentine, the more useful the shield is, oddly enough. So you get into like an identity crisis of style at that point. So there are two main kinds of battlefield fighting. There's skirmishing and there's line fights. We'll get to line fights later because your life is actually just rough there. So skirmishing. The first big thing for skirmishing on a battlefield is knowing your matchups. All right? You can fight boardmen. you can fight other Florentine fighters. If you can avoid spears, please do so. I'm going to give you some anti-spear tactics, but if you can, look at your friend and go like, "Hi, my boardman friend, that's your problem. I'm moving the fight elsewhere." That doesn't mean ignore the spearman, all right? If I'm going to come up to Vander, I've got my friend here, and you want to come back and be my friend. Grab on that side. You can be whatever handed you'd like. If I've got my friend here, we're coming up to the spearman, I need to be cautious, all right, stuff like that. But if I'm going to say, "Hey, Nora, this is your fight, you take it," and I just walk off and Vander just stabs me for just walking away. However, if I do something like and run away and leave that fight to them, I still need to defend myself versus the spearman, right? So let's say for whatever reason I've got the skirmish 1v1 and I have to fight the spear. All right, what are some tactics? First thing is a stance. So most people think, I've got my Florentine stance, and unfortunately I am super open to being stabbed because their swords just don't cover the same space as spears. I personally like to do a sword kind of pointed down, whether it be the front sword or the back sword. What foot you're open to is its own kind of thing. You're less, if you can match up in a certain way, you'll be less stabbable, yes, but I guess by margins. So I put one sword to cover lower strikes and one sword to cover higher strikes. And the more in the middle Vander shoots for, the more he has to contend with two swords, right? So you can't go too much higher because my face is there, and I want this sword to be ready to attack. He can't, if he goes too much lower, this sword can follow. And it kind of what all I'm trying to do is keep the spear literally off center point. That's all. All right. I don't have to close it. If I close in some, he can move backwards, yes. But if we're running at each other, I need to clip an arm. And then the spear's a lot more easier to manipulate. This is not easy. This is not simple. Right now, Vander's being the give me person so I can explain and understand the technique. But like just having a lower stance, having one sword manipulate the weapon. They've only got one thing. Be careful if they have a sidearm of any kind. All right. When people say close in, you don't have to close into here to be closed in. All right. Like I said, if we're using 40s, I need to be past the spear tip, which gives me a little bit of range on his sword. Also means this is a whole extra step that I don't have to cover. And that's a whole extra step's worth of time so that I could bang, bang, and move on to the next person. I'm trying to flank. I'm trying to move on to the next individual. So understanding your matchups, super, super important. Now, another fight you don't really want to get into are pole reds. So this is like, what, 6.5 feet, something like that? Yeah. The greater, so even if it was an 8-footer, the similar reach and the ability to swing changes a lot. If Vander just points the glaive at me, I can try to treat it like a spear, but it has a little bit more weight to it, and he's not worried about just whipping it back in. If I step in errantly and he just whacks me, life kind of just sucks. So while they're aiming the tip in, I'll use, instead of like pointing the spear down or lower, I'll try to use both swords to move the weapon. If he points it low, I'll come with both swords to be low. I want both swords to counter that leverage. All right. Also, if he goes for the big swing, I will just have both swords parry. I can't have one sword parry. That can be a lot on your wrist or your hands. I wear strong gloves. All right. Get good gloves. And also wrist braces when doing Florentine to make sure that I have sturdy blocks. But I will just block here. I can leave one sword there and attack him as necessary, right? So that's another crappy matchup, all right? Against projectile users, dodge behind your friends. Like if you have a small enough shield, I've picked up shields, all right, to block an arrow or two and discard them and then go and attack. But when you are doing this, you're looking to fight these matchups if you have to. If you can leave them to a friend, leave them to a friend. But here are some tips to fight these matchups In a skirmish scenario, you have a lot of room to move around. I don't have to stand directly in front of Vander and just eat the damage coming through, right? So those are super important for knowing your matchups in that manner. Flank, 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 flank. Honestly, that's all it says in the notes here. Flank and large letters 3 times. You're not there to stand at the 4 and be the guardian of your teammates. No. You're there to hit everyone from the sides as possible. You are a living, slashing dervish machine. You're going to be swinging your swords out left and right until you die. So the second the line is broken, a hole is made, you're swinging at everybody, all right? The most things I would tell you to look out for are people in armor, all right? Skip them, all right? If I'm hitting 40 people in the back, I would just skip the dude in the armor. He takes 2 swings. That's 2 swings. That's too many. I can hit 4 more people before someone kills me by the time I've hit this dude twice. So flank, flank, flank all day, every day. You're not there to stand in front of people. Hit as many people from the back and the side as possible. Be courteous about it, obviously. All right, if I'm hitting people in the back, a normal hit is good enough. I don't need to try to blow out people's kidneys, but you're here to flank all day long. Avoid 2v1s. 2 swords does not mean you're good at fighting 2 people. Funny enough, you're one of the worst, actually. So, actually, no, if you don't mind coming back up. So let's say, for example, they both have single blue. All right, let's go kind of extreme with this answer. They both have single blue. If they both attack me and I defend, we'll net nothing. All right, so cool, right? This is an unrealistic scenario, mind you. Net nothing, great. I can try to then like swing at both of them or whatever. God forbid one blocks. I don't know too many people who are cool enough to swing at multiple targets with the same level of accuracy. All right, I can swing at both of them and like plan to swing a shot at Vander, and I'm just hoping on Nor. If I don't swing at her head, I can't hit her in the head. That's about it. But this is not good. In a realistic scenario, your fight's actually going to look something like, pick up literally any of those 4 weapons. Your fight's going to look something like this. We already covered bad matchups, right? So that's a bad matchup when she didn't have a friend. And now she's got a friend? No. What should you do in this scenario? There are 2 things you're going to look for. A, where's your teammates? Are you so far into the flank that you don't have teammates? Oof. Well, your job is now stalling. Super stalling, all right? They can chase you, they can run around with you, whatever's getting them to look at you and not the rest of your team, great. All right, amazing, wonderful. I am scary. Oh, I'm so scary. I'm the scariest Florentine fighter you've ever fought in your life. Rah, rah, rah. Please, my teammates, come hit them in the back. Please, my archer friends, come shoot them. Please, literally anything. This is not a fight for you to take. Kind of honestly, no matter what your weapon is, this fight sucks. But this fight sucks super bad for you. You don't have the reach to contend with them. If you do get in, it's not like the Glaive fighter can't hit you. Now they both can hit you. And even if I only step in far enough to maybe attack Nor, I'd hate for Vander to simply step forward slightly. Like, it's not a good match. Avoid 2v1s, all right? Even if they both had board, now they have these things that just cover them. Haha. Even if they both have board, they have these things that just cover them, and I can't make mistakes. All right, once again, my swords are most effective when attacking one individual and overwhelming them, which means that if I do that strategy, one of them gets to hit me for free. I get to swing for free without guarding. If I attack both at the same time, this is no longer net nothing. They can shield bash you. They can just straight in the chest with the shield and step in, and you're like, oh, and they're just less worried about being hit. They have shields. So this is no longer net nothing. It won't do in-game damage, but you know, if you're playing Belagarth, well, not that dead game, but if you're playing any game where shield bashing is allowed, it kind of sucks. Even if you're playing things like Amphguard or whatnot, they can just step in, and they feel safer doing it. I can't even like threaten double stab of doom. So avoid 2v1s. It's almost always bad. It's worse for you. The last thing I'm going to say here, stick and move. I'm not going to be fighting any one person for too long. If I can get past you for literally any reason, I will. So one of you is going, let's say you're fighting, if they're distracted, I've got a teammate here. Actually, Super Braun, you want to join me up here to be my teammate for this? You can have a weapon. You don't have to have a weapon. It's not important. You're my teammate there heckling people. So a very important thing is to stick and move. All right, we're here in this battlefield setting. We're set up. If I manage to like leg Vander, I don't have to be here no more. He can't chase me. He can't do anything about it. All right. If I deal any damage to Vander and he can be ignored even slightly, I'm gonna make my move off into the rest of the world. Even if I arm him, right? If I boom and arm him, he's got a swap or something like that. I can go for the kill because I've armed him. There's a pause there, but I could also just, let's say he drops his sword, like some people just do. Great, he can't fight. Let's just jump Nor real quick. If he can't fight, I'm going to be sticking and moving. Even if I get into the 1v1 scenario, if you're preventing me from hitting your team in the back, I only need you stopped to do that. So yeah, it would be amazing if I'm super awesome, instant kill shot, and I can go back hack the whole team. But you don't always have to go for the kill shot to get the goal of back hacking the whole team. Stick and move. We're not here to stay in the one fight for too long. Even the scenario I was talking about in the 2v1, where you just said, oh, we have to sit here and draw the fight out. Yeah, but if you think you're faster than them and you can just run, go back hack the team. Stick and move. Okay, now for the bad part. Line fighting. If you can avoid it, avoid it. And I don't mean that in the sense of just don't fight in the line fight. I mean, whatever you can do to make this not a line fight, do it. All right? Bother people, run out of the flanks, don't break any rules for like boundaries and whatnot. But whatever you can do to make this line fight not a line fight, it's amazing. So let's grab one of those pole arms here. So in a line fight, give Braun the shield. Thank you. So in a line fight, funny enough, you have no choice. You have to stand here. All right. And in a weird, perfect world, you'd rather be kind of lined up. Defensively, you'd rather be lined up in front of the spear. Offensively, you don't want to be. So defensively, if Nora is straight in front of me here, I can focus most of my attention on her, and I don't have to worry about Vander reaching me. So me and Braun are on a team. Nora's fighting me. I don't have to worry about, her teammate getting to me at all because I'm lined up with her. So maybe here, or we're going to go on this side so the camera can see us better. So yeah, I'm lined up with her. I don't have to worry about her teammate attacking me. This still sucks, but I only have to engage one person. If they swap places, now Nor can attack me and Braun, and I can't reach Nor. And if Vander wants to, he can kind of step forward and attack me too. This just sucks. This sucks so much. So what should you do in a line fight? You are either the person who creates the hole, sacrificing your life for the cause, or you're the person taking advantage of the hole, making the best thing. So you can do one of two things. If you're going to be the person sacrificing your life for the cause, make sure your teammates know. All right? If they don't know, it's hard for them to just react to sudden movements. Not every fighter can just, oh, I see the opening, I'm going for it. If I say, hey, Braun, I'm going to make a move, be ready. That's all it really takes. So you're going to use some of the strategies we talked about earlier. So once again, Nor can attack me and Braun from this position. If you're going to make a hole, you're gonna just kind of hope for the best thing possible. Unfortunately, I rather attack the boardman in this scenario personally because the spearman can just back up, and so Nor swap places. Let's say I parry the spear off and I step in, she backs up, and I just kind of die. The hole was not made. I've not done damage. Like, your teammates gotta move after you do to make the hole. Nothing's actually like working here. The spearmen backed up ever so slightly. They will. If you can do something, they can do something. And you died for nothing, for their cause, funny enough. Swap places again. In this scenario, I can move on one of two things. If Nor attacks me and I parry the spear, I can try to step in and get to Vander, and then maybe my teammate will get a chance to attack because the spearman attacked me, and then I aggressed on this boardman. Or if the spear attacks my friend and not me, I can use that moment to try to press in there as well. So I have 2 opportunities to try to press in. I want to find the person whose reach matches mine the most and attack them in that particular scenario. So that's if you're making the hole. Do you expect to survive this? You hope you do. All right. If I kill Vander and I get out wounded, then oh great, pick a person for us to fight now, right? So if I don't, so long as I actually get my kill or my wound or something, if me and Vander both die, oh well, it's a boardman versus a spearman now, and that's in my team's favor, and I've made the hole. So now I'm taking advantage of the hole. Once again, hopefully your teammates will tell you. Braun says to me, "Hey Talon, I'm gonna make a hole. Be ready. All right, be ready to charge. Do not hesitate. Go, go, go. You are swinging it out at people. All right, be safe, be reasonable, attack certainly. But if Braun suddenly charges in at Nor, Vander has a choice: defend his spearman and die to me, or fight me and hopefully his spearman dies. In which case, we're swinging it out. We're having it out right then and there. Take the moment. All right, too many things can happen. All right, projectiles. We talked about them earlier. And line fights, they're that much more dangerous. I don't have the space to duck, dob, and move arrows all day. If I dodge an arrow and eat a spear to the gut, the arrow was still worth it in my opinion. One arrow, one life still happened. These are the moments where I'm going to tell you, hey, look, grab whatever shield you're going to do. I suggest a punch shield because you can just discard it, but it's only really there to sit there and wait for my moment. The second I decide to go in, I'm going to discard the shield because using it is too difficult and swinging my swords at the same time. And I'm an explosion of power at that point. I'm swinging, I'm attacking until I either make it through or die. Line fighting is like the worst game for the Florentine fighter. And unfortunately, the more people in a fight there are, just the more threats in general. All right? Like, even in, like, crappier scenarios. So, Nor, if you don't mind picking up a sword. Yeah, a sword, yeah. Just if Nor decided to ignore Braun and swing at me, like, just across the line, I have to deal with this. I have to block. Or otherwise, I could just die. Like, sure, this is like a bad trade or whatever, or a weird trade. Braun gets free action here, but I'm dead, and I like playing the game. I like being alive, and we traded 1 for 1, and we've left our team with an even matchup. You know, scenarios of fighter. If I got best fighter in the world, if Vander's best fighter in the world, and Nor just kills me, it is likelihood that best fighter in the world will beat not best fighter in the world, right? So yeah, line battles are actually just terrible. Skirmish. Turn the fight into a skirmish as soon as you possibly can. Eliminate the number of people. If I have to, actually, you mind joining in for the class real quick? Dot. If I absolutely have to, all right, just pick up a weapon. It doesn't matter what it is. If I absolutely have to, no, you're on my team. I will. You're lined up with Braun. I will wait here and be like, all right, team, let's go, forward, yeah, get him, just throw your life away. All right, great. All right, if I absolutely have to, I will wait for someone else to make the line so that I get to swing my sword. It's fun for me that way. So by all means, you're gonna have to be a little bit proactive in the line fight in the team coordination scenario, but there are some tips and tricks there for battlefield settings. I cannot express enough for you, but that, like, when I say don't fight bad matchups, unfortunately a line fight's a bad matchup game wise. And it's just rough. But that's my, like, base Florentine class for the battlefield. I would like to see more people do Florentine, including in stuff like War God tournaments. I would just like to see it come back. I like Florentine a whole lot. I consider it my second best style. It's funny that the Blademaster's teaching a class on Florentine and not Red, but whatever. But, like, yeah, like, just Florentine's fun. It's amazing. But you have to think outside the box a little bit to make it work in scenarios where it is inherently weak. So thank you for coming to the class today, and hopefully I can see more people with 2 stick out in the future.